I am 84 years old, and today I walk without pain. Yes, just as you hear. I walk every day, sometimes even twice. I go down to buy bread, climb stairs without holding the railing, and the most wonderful thing of all, I can go out for a walk with my grandchildren without falling behind. But it wasn't always like this. There were years when knee pain stole my desire to move. Years when getting out of bed was a battle. Years when I ended every day with ice on my legs, tears in my eyes, and one thought repeating over and over, "Is this what awaits me for the rest of my life?" Some doctors told me it was normal, that it was just age. They gave me pills, creams. They even spoke to me of surgery. But something inside me said I couldn't resign myself. Not yet. That there had to be another way. And that way, I found it. It was simpler than I imagined. A piece of advice that came once I was tired of everything. A natural homemade remedy that began to ease my pain in just 3 days. And as incredible as it sounds, that is when everything changed. No, it wasn't magic. It wasn't a miracle. It was something anyone can do, with ingredients they probably already have at home. But the most important thing wasn't just the remedy. It was what that change did to me inside. Today I want to tell you my story, not to impress you, nor to convince you of anything. I tell it because I know there are many people out there like me. People who have suffered for years, who believe there is no solution, who feel that moving without pain is a distant memory. And if you're one of them, this video is for you. Before we begin, I'd love to know something about you. How old are you, and from which country are you watching me? Leave it in the comments. I'll love reading your story because in the end, we all share more than we imagine. Now then, let me take you back to where it all began. My story with knee pain began when I was just over 60. At first, it was only discomfort, a little twinge when I got out of bed, a slight crackle climbing stairs. Nonsense, I thought. Normal stuff, they said. That's wear and tear, some friends repeated to me. I believed it too. But over time, that discomfort grew constant. It wasn't only when I got up. It hurt when I walked, when I stood for long, even when I sat for a while. I remember one morning bending down to pick up a towel from the floor and feeling as if my knee split in two, a sharp, direct pain that made me scream. From then on, every movement was made with fear. The worst wasn't just the physical pain, it was what it took from me. I stopped walking with my wife at sunset. I stopped playing in the park with my grandchildren. I stopped tending the garden, something that gave me such peace. I even gave up going to the plaza for coffee with friends because the simple act of rising from a chair left me exhausted. I felt my body was locking me in an invisible prison. And with everything I stopped doing, something inside me dimmed too. Sleeping became difficult. No matter how I placed my legs, there was always a sore spot. I woke up several times at night, tired, frustrated. Some mornings I sat on the edge of the bed for minutes, not because I was sleepy, but because I didn't want to face the day's first step. But if there was one moment I'll never forget, it was that afternoon I stayed home alone. I was watching television on the sofa when I felt the need to get up and go to the kitchen. I pressed my hands on the armrests, pushed, and couldn't. My legs didn't respond. The pain was so sharp, so deep, that I had to sit back down. I tried again, and again. My arms trembled with the effort. Rage and fear washed over me. I called my daughter, and when she arrived and saw me trapped on the sofa like an invalid old man, I couldn't hold back. I broke down in tears. I felt useless. And that was the hardest part. Not the physical pain, but the sense that I'd lost my independence, of depending on others for something as simple as standing or walking. That afternoon, my knees didn't just ache, my dignity did. After that day, everything changed. I became afraid of being alone, afraid of falling, afraid of not being able to get up. I moved less, and the less I moved, the worse I felt. The pain wasn't just in my legs. It was in my spirit, in my mind, in my will to live. And just when I thought there was no way back, a possibility appeared. But I'll tell you about that in the next part, because before speaking of the remedy, I want you to fully understand where I started. Because if you're at that point today, if you're living that pain, that frustration, that silent loneliness, I want you to know you're not alone, and that yes, there is a way out. After that day on the sofa, I decided I couldn't go on like that. I had to do something. I started searching for solutions. I joined forums, asked acquaintances, listened to advice, visited doctors. I hoped that somewhere there was a formula, a treatment, something to restore my mobility. And boy, did I try things. First, the miracle creams. Those that promise instant action, minutes to relief, advanced formula. The first one cost me more than I usually spend on groceries in a month. I applied it twice daily, as directed. At first I felt a bit of coolness, like something was working. But after 2 weeks, no real change. Just a slight menthol sensation and a lighter wallet. Then came the painkillers. The doctor prescribed pills. They don't cure, but they help you cope, he said. And he was right, at first. I took them every 8 hours, and for days the pain eased. But I also began feeling dizzy, nauseous, constantly sleepy. And worst of all, I needed higher doses each time to feel the same relief. It was as if my body got used to them and demanded more. That's when I knew I couldn't rely on that. Next was physical therapy. My daughter encouraged me. I went with hope. The physiotherapist was kind, professional. He gave me exercises, stretches, sometimes heat, sometimes gentle electric pulses. I went twice a week. I pushed myself. But after almost 3 months, results were minimal. I improved slightly, yes, but at the slightest lapse, the pain returned. Plus, it was hard to afford. I also tried supplements. A neighbor told me about capsules with collagen, magnesium, turmeric, and who knows what else. They've worked wonders for me, he said. So I bought them. The bottle was huge, promising miracles. I took them religiously for over a month, but I felt nothing. Zero. Just more disappointment. Finally, I tried heat and cold therapy, alternating warm packs, hot baths, cold compresses. Some days it seemed to help a bit, others made no difference. I spent more time preparing remedies than enjoying their effects. It was exhausting, frustrating, and ultimately useless. After so many failed attempts, I felt more worn out than before. I wondered if I was the problem, if there was no hope, if I simply had to accept that this was what old age meant. But in that moment of deep frustration, I realized something important. I realized many products aren't made to heal us. They're made to keep us buying. They don't want you fully healed, because if you heal, you stop being a customer. And if you stop being a customer, their business ends. That was a hard truth to accept. And it was also why I decided to stop looking outward and start looking inward. At the natural, the simple, the things our grandmothers knew. And there, I found the remedy that changed my life. But before I tell you what it was, let me explain how I discovered it. Because it wasn't luck. It was an honest search, guided by intuition, necessity, and exhaustion from being sold smoke. The day everything changed. That day, standing before the mirror, I said to myself, enough. Several years had passed dragging this pain. Years of trying treatments that didn't work, of spending money on solutions that promised much and delivered little, of feeling weaker, more dependent, further from the person I used to be. And right there, in the quiet of an ordinary afternoon, I made a decision that changed everything. I looked at my knees. They felt swollen, stiff, as if no longer part of my body. I took a deep breath, sat down with effort at the edge of the bed and thought, either I recover, or I resign myself forever. But something inside, a small spark, refused resignation. Because even though I was 84, I wasn't ready to give up. I still wanted to walk on my own. I wanted to go out without a cane. I wanted to feel my body belonged to me again. And so, I decided to do something different. I decided to stop depending on what pharmacies sold. I decided that if modern methods weren't restoring my health, it was time to return to the old ways, to what our grandmothers used, to what didn't come in shiny packaging but worked because it respected the body. I began reading about natural remedies. I researched herbs, infusions, poultices. I listened to interviews, looked for real testimonials from elderly people who'd recovered without surgery or strong medications. But it was a casual conversation that changed my search's course. It happened one morning while sweeping my front porch, leaning on my broom like a crutch. Mary, my neighbor, passed by. She's 79, but walks upright as if she were 50. I'd always seen her as a strong, agile woman with energy I envied. She greeted me as always. "How are you, Mr. Ernest?" And I, with the frankness age gives, replied, "I'm tired, Mary. Tired of fighting with these knees, of not being able to walk without pain." She looked at me kindly. She came closer, lowered her voice and said something I didn't expect. "Would you like me to tell you what saved my knees?" I nodded. Any advice was welcome at that point. Then she told me about a natural remedy she prepared at home. Not a product from TV, nor an imported formula. Something simple, ancient, yet powerful. A mix of natural ingredients her parents used in the countryside before there were pharmacies or physiotherapists. 3 days, Mr. Ernest," she said. 3 days it took for me to walk without pain. And since then, I've never needed pills or ointments again. In that moment, something woke up in me. Not just what she said, but how she said it. With confidence, with the clear gaze of someone who isn't selling anything, just sharing knowledge. That day, for the first time in years, I felt real hope, and I knew I had to try it. But before I tell you exactly what that remedy was, let me explain how I prepared myself to receive it. Because it wasn't just applying it, and that was that. I had to change how I thought, acted, and treated my own body. And that inner change was as important as the remedy itself. I remember the exact moment I held that jar in my hands for the first time. It was a thick mixture, with a strong yet pleasant scent, an earthy color that reminded me of my grandmother's remedies from childhood. No flashy labels, no promises in big golden letters, just a simple, homemade natural formula, and according to Mary, powerful. I won't lie. Part of me was skeptical. After years of trying everything, why would this work? But another part, a deeper part, told me, this comes from a different place. Not industry, but earth. Not laboratories, but generations of wisdom. So that night, I sat in silence, warmed the mixture as Mary had explained, and began applying it carefully to my knees. The warmth enveloped me gently, and as I massaged, I thought of all the times I'd lost hope, all the nights spent sleepless from pain, and even though I didn't expect it, I felt something different. The first day, there was no miracle. I didn't leap out of bed pain-free, but there was something, a slight lightness, as if the stiffness had softened a bit. That was enough to give me hope, to think, maybe, just maybe, this is the start of something real. On the second day, I repeated the process, this time with more confidence, more care. I sat by the window, let the morning sun in, and as I applied the remedy, I closed my eyes and breathed deeply. It wasn't only my knee changing, but my relationship with my body. That afternoon, I descended the porch steps without gripping the railing so tightly. I could hardly believe it. Is it working? I wondered. And I dared to walk a little further than usual. Something inside me was stirring. But it was on the third day. when it happened. I rose from bed as usual, expecting that first step to hurt. But it didn't. I walked to the bathroom, slowly, and there were no sharp pains. I looked down at my legs and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I sat at the dining chair, and then I knew. The pain was gone. Not entirely, of course, not as if it had never existed, but the pain that immobilized me, that prevented me from walking, that made me fear every movement, that pain was gone. I looked at myself in the mirror that day, and I saw not just an 84-year-old man, but someone who had regained something precious, the dignity of moving on his own. And no, it wasn't magic. It was something natural, ancient, yet forgotten. Something not sold in pharmacies, nor advertised on television. Something that came from those who listened to the body and the earth. Something simple, and therefore powerful. I want you to know something very important. This remedy isn't a miracle cure. I don't intend to sell you empty promises or guarantee everyone will feel as I did. Every body is different, every story unique. But what I can say with all my heart is that it made a difference for me. And if you're listening with hope, if you've been searching for something to restore your mobility, energy, and peace, perhaps, as for me, you'll rediscover that sometimes what you need isn't far away. It's not in a hospital, not in a box with English lettering. Sometimes it's in a recipe shared between neighbors, in a handful of ingredients you can get yourself, in a mixture made with patience and faith. Now, at last, after everything I've told you, it's time to share the most important part, how I prepare this remedy, step by step, just as Mary taught me, and as I still use today. I'll explain calmly, as if you were here in my kitchen, sitting with me, a cup of tea on the table. First, the ingredients, all natural and easy to find. If you don't have them at home, you'll find them at an herb shop, local market, or even a small corner store. 2 tablespoons of turmeric powder, a powerful natural anti-inflammatory. It gives the remedy its golden color and helps reduce tissue swelling from within. 1 tablespoon of grated or powdered ginger, stimulates circulation, relieves pain, and warms the joints. 3 tablespoons of coconut oil or extra virgin olive oil, serves as a base to form a paste and helps active ingredients penetrate the skin. A pinch of ground black pepper. This is key. Pepper activates turmeric's curcumin. Without it, your body wouldn't absorb it properly. Optional, a few drops of eucalyptus or rosemary essential oil. Not mandatory, but if you can add it, you'll get extra soothing effect, plus a pleasant scent. Preparation. In a small bowl, mine is glass, place the turmeric, ginger, pepper, and oil. Stir with a wooden spoon until you have a homogeneous paste. It shouldn't be too runny nor too thick. If it seems dry, add oil bit by bit until it reaches a cream-like texture. If you're using essential oils, add 5 to 10 drops. Mix again, and that's it. How to apply? I always do it at night, before sleeping, when I won't move much anymore. Take a bit of the mixture with your fingers and massage gently onto both knees in circular motions. Take your time. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and focus on the warmth rising under your skin. Then cover your knees with a clean cotton cloth, a small towel works, and remain like that for 20 minutes. Sometimes, if I'm very tired, I lie down carefully and let it work while I read or rest. After the time's up, rinse with warm water and dry thoroughly. That's all. No complications, just consistency, care, and a little time for yourself. How long does it last? I like to make just enough for 2 or 3 applications and store it in a small glass jar with a lid in the fridge. It keeps well for about 5 days. If it smells or looks odd, make a fresh batch. It's so easy that it's worth it. Contraindications? Very few, but take these precautions. If you're allergic to any ingredient, don't use it. Turmeric can stain clothes, so wear old garments or place a cloth you don't mind staining. If you have open wounds, very sensitive skin, or eczema on the area, Don't apply the remedy directly. This doesn't replace medical diagnosis. If you have a serious or persistent problem, consult a professional. But as a natural support, this remedy can do wonders. I still use it once or twice a week, even though I no longer suffer pain as before. It reminds me that self-care isn't just necessary. It's an act of self-love. Now that you know everything, I'd love for you to try it. Do it with patience, respect for your body, and faith. Sometimes what heals most isn't the remedy, but the decision to believe we can get well. The natural remedy was my first big step. But be honest with yourself. No remedy, however wonderful, can do all the work alone. What truly made the difference in my life was daily commitment. The decision to change habits, to care for my body each day, to do small things that added up, transformed my health. Once the pain eased, I told myself, this can't stop here. I must maintain it. I want my life fully back. And that's what I did. I'll tell you in detail, because maybe it'll help you too. I began walking again. It wasn't easy at first. My first outings were only to the corner, at a slow pace. My grandson accompanied me in case I needed support. But little by little, I gained confidence. I walked through the park, greeted neighbors, felt the fresh air on my face. And with each step, I felt more alive. No need to run or do strange exercises. Just walk. Every day, a bit more. My goal was simple. Move daily, even if only 10 minutes. I added gentle stretches. In the mornings, upon waking, I stretched arms and legs, rotated ankles. At first it felt stiff, but over time muscles began to respond. I followed a simple online video for seniors, lifting knees, rotating shoulders, touching toes while seated. That daily movement gave me flexibility and confidence to keep going. I changed my diet, not a strict regimen, and I didn't forbid anything. But I became mindful of what I ate. I cut processed foods, reduced fried dishes and sugar. I included more anti-inflammatory foods: turmeric, ginger, oily fish, leafy greens, berries, nuts. One of my favorite snacks now is natural yogurt with turmeric, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and chia seeds. Simple, and it makes me feel good. I drank more water. I used to forget. Now my bottle is always at hand. Water keeps joints lubricated and flushes toxins. It's more important than we imagine. I introduced warm foot soaks at night. Once a week I fill a basin with hot water, add coarse salt and a few drops of eucalyptus oil. I immerse my feet, close my eyes, and relax. That ritual helps me sleep and release accumulated tension. And I kept up home massages. Using the same natural remedy or warmed olive oil, I gently massaged my knees before bed. That physical contact, self-care, holds more power than we believe. The key of all, consistency. It's not about doing a lot one day and forgetting the next. It's about doing a little every day. Building well-being step by step, with patience and tenderness. Today, I can say I walk well, sleep well, and have energy. But it wasn't only because of the remedy. It was because I decided to care for myself, making myself a priority. And that's what I want to share. You may not do everything at once, but if you take one step, adopt one small habit, tomorrow, you'll be one step closer to regaining your freedom. Because true healing lies not only in what you apply, but in how you treat yourself. And I chose to treat myself with respect, commitment, and love. Why so many seniors live with unnecessary pain? Sometimes I feel fortunate, but also a bit sad. Because I know many people my age still live with pains that could be avoided. They still believe pain is part of aging, that it's inevitable, that there's nothing to be done. And I don't blame them. For years I believed the same. The truth is, there are many seniors like you, like me, like our neighbors, who could walk better, live without discomfort, climb stairs, enjoy a stroll. If only they knew what I learned too late. But the system doesn't help. Today's health system is designed to give you medications, not restore your health. They give you pills for pain, to sleep, for cholesterol, for circulation. Each one brings another pill to counteract its side effects. At day's end, you have more bottles than solutions. And the problem is that modern medicine treats symptoms, not causes. It soothes you for hours, but the issue remains. When you return to the doctor, they say it's normal, that it's your age to get used to it. But that's not living, that's merely enduring. And worst of all, many real solutions aren't mentioned. Why? Because they aren't sold in pharmacies. They're not in protocols. No one profits from ginger tea, home massages, or a daily walk. Natural medicine isn't trendy, but it works. And often what truly helps is within reach. Only no one teaches us. We've been taught to trust a pill bottle more than our own body. And that, over time, dims us. There's also fear. Fear of change. Fear of trying something new. After so many years, it's hard to believe something as simple as a kitchen mixture could outperform decades of medication. There's distrust of the natural, of what lacks fancy labels. But I learned simple doesn't mean ineffective. Sometimes the simplest is the wisest. And there's a deeper problem. Many have lost hope. They've resigned themselves, believing life from now on means pain, limitations, dependence. But I'm here to tell you, that's not true. It's not too late to improve. Not too late to start caring differently. I did it at 83. And now, at 84, I walk strongly, pain-free, with a smile from the depths of my soul. All you need is willingness to try, to open your mind, to believe your body can still heal if given what it needs. If you're watching this video, it's no coincidence. Perhaps it's the sign you needed to stop resigning and start truly searching. I won't promise magic or immediacy, but I will tell you, it's possible. And if I could, you can too. All I ask is that you don't give up. Don't accept living with pain as your fate. Because aging doesn't mean surrendering. It means caring more, listening more, and above all, allowing yourself to live with dignity.
What I'd do differently if I could go back.
If I could turn back time, there are many things I'd do differently. But if I had to choose only one, I would have sought help sooner. I wouldn't have waited so long. I wouldn't have hidden my pain. I wouldn't have pretended everything was fine when my body begged for rest, attention, care. For years I told myself it was normal, that knee pain is part of growing old. I repeated that as long as I could keep going, even if crawling, it was okay. But it wasn't. Every day I ignored the pain was a day I lost quality of life. And it saddens me that this happens all the time. We become accustomed to discomfort, the aches on rising, the jolts climbing stairs, the fear of tripping in the street. We resign ourselves, not realizing that resignation steals our life. Looking back, I see I didn't have to suffer so much. I would have listened to my body more, been kinder to myself, asked for help without shame. Because seeking solutions is not weakness. Weak is surrendering without trying. I recall my friend Ernest. He had incredible strength, energy I always admired. But when he began experiencing the same pain, he chose another path. He said, "At this age, it's over. There's no point trying anything new." And he gradually faded away. He stopped going out, walking, laughing. The last time I saw him, he was in a wheelchair, not from an irreversible disease, but because he gave up the fight. That marked me deeply. I almost followed the same path, but something inside me said enough. And that's why I'm here today, telling you my story. So you don't reach that point. So you don't resign yourself. So you don't waste time as I did. I tell you from my heart, pain isn't normal. Aging doesn't mean giving up on feeling good. You don't have to settle for what they tell you. You don't have to accept living with less energy, less freedom, less joy. There's still much to do, and the sooner you start, the better. If today I was 60, 70, even 80 again, I'd begin sooner. I'd care more about what I eat. I'd move daily, even a little. And I'd trust less in pharmacy magic and more in cures from nature and the body. And above all, I'd talk. I wouldn't keep my physical or emotional pain to myself. That's why, with all my affection, I tell you, don't wait to hit rock bottom. Don't wait for pain to stop you completely. Listen to yourself now. Care for yourself today. Give your body the chance to recover. Today I walk without pain. And I don't say it proudly, but gratefully. Because after so many years fighting my knees, so many sleepless nights, so many times I believed there was no solution, today I can say my body responded, that there was still life and strength within me. And if you're watching this video, perhaps you're seeking a light too. Perhaps you've been carrying that silent pain that limits you, frustrates you, makes you think it's too late. Let me tell you what I learned from the heart. It's never too late to improve. Never too late to reclaim your life. You don't have to resign yourself. You don't have to accept something that steals the best years you still have ahead. Because yes, there are still places to walk, people to hug, things to do, and all of it is enjoyed far better without pain. My story isn't unique. Thousands of seniors are rediscovering their strength, mobility, and well-being simply because they chose to look for another way. And if this video can help you even a little, then telling my story was worth it. Now I want to ask you one thing. If you know someone suffering knee pain, share this video with them. You might be the person who changes their life, because it was a neighbor who changed mine, with simple advice, a natural remedy. And thanks to that, today, I walk with freedom. And more than that, I walk with hope. And you can too. Thank you for staying until the end. If you found this message useful, if it touched your heart, or if you learned something new, please leave a comment. Tell me what part made you reflect, or if you're ready to start your change. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Because one thing I can promise, there are still many good things ahead. And I want you there to live them, step by step, pain-free. See you soon. And in the meantime, keep walking.